So today's class, we are looking at calculating the area of shaded regions of figures. So basically, when you're trying to figure out the area of a shaded region, there's a couple ways depending on the question. So you can either just calculate the area of the entire figure, and then you would subtract out the area of any unshaded region. Some figures will all be shaded, so basically you will figure out the area of the different parts of the figure and then add it up to get the total area of the whole total shaded figure. So for example, this is our first example, and you can see here we have a triangle, and we can see part of the triangle is shaded, and then you have this square here that is not shaded. So we need to figure out just this shaded portion of this triangle. So in a question like this, we would figure out the area of the entire figure, which would be the entire triangle, and then we would subtract out the area of that square. And then we would have the area of the shaded region. So let's try our first example. So firstly, we would need to know what is the formula for the area of a triangle. All right, so there's the formula for the triangle. And usually when I'm doing these kinds of questions where you have different figures, you can make a little subscript. I just put TRI there for triangle. So we're figuring out the area of the triangle first. So 0.5, the base of this triangle is 12 centimeters. And the height of this triangle is 24 centimeters. Okay, so we would just multiply that out. 0.5 times 12 times 24. That gives me 144. Our units are centimeters. This is area, so centimeters squared. Now that is the area of the triangle. All right, next we have to figure out the area of that little square. So we can see that the base was 12, and this part are equal in length, as well as this part here. Because the whole length is 12, therefore this section here, it has to be half of that. So it has to be 6 centimeters. I'm just going to put here 6 centimeters, and then this part also is 6 centimeters. All right, so now we know this is a square. This dashed line also means that that will also be 6 centimeters. I'll just add that there as well, that it is also 6 centimeters. So our area of the square is side squared. So 6 times 6. Remember that squared means side times side. So in this case, 6 multiplied by 6. Common mistake students make is to multiply by 2. Okay, so remember it's side times side. So 36 centimeters squared, and that's the area of the square. So now that we have the area of the triangle, we have the area of the square, we're going to subtract out that area of the square to get the area shaded. Okay, so now I'm going to do area of the shaded region is going to be 144 minus the 36, which gives me 108 centimeters squared. And that is the final answer for the area of the shaded region. So this next example, we see two figures. Both figures here are shaded. So in this example, we would figure out the area of each part, and then we would add them together. So let's do the area of the half circle first. So area, and I'm just going to put here circle, and then we'll divide it by, we'll divide it in half after. So we know the formula for the area of a circle is pi r squared. This line here represents the diameter of the circle, 20 meters. So the radius, therefore, would be half that. So 20 divided by 2, our radius is 10 meters. All right, so now we can plug in all our numbers here. 3.14 times 10 times 10, okay, because it's radius squared, radius times radius. All right, so putting that into your calculator, we would end up with 314. Our units are meters, so meters squared. All right, so that is for a full circle. We would have to divide that by 2, okay, because we're only looking at a half circle. So divide that by 2, and we get 157 meters squared. All right, so that is the area of the circle. I'll just add that here. Area of the half circle is 157 meters squared. All right, next we have the area of our trapezoid. So area, I'm just going to put trapezoid. Our formula we can use is 0.5 a, and then base 1 plus base 2. Again, you have your formulas in your formula sheet. So A represents the altitude of the trapezoid, which is shown here. It's 25 meters. So 0.5, multiply it by 25, and then base 1 plus base 2. Base 1 is 22, base 1 is 20, so 22 plus 20, so 0.5 multiplied by 25 multiplied by 42. Okay, so then we get our area of our trapezoid, which is equal to 525 meters squared. All right, so area of the half circle, area of the trapezoid, we've got both. Now we just have to add them. I'll just do it, I'll just make a little section right here. So the area shaded is 157 plus 525, which gives me 682 meters squared. That is area shaded. All right, so for this example, we have the large rectangle, which is 12 by 6 centimeters. We also have this smaller rectangle that we have to subtract out. That way we would have the area of all of this shaded region. So we figured out here, this here is 6 centimeters. So therefore this has to be 6 centimeters as well. But we know that each part here is equal. So therefore it has to be 2, 2, and 2 centimeters. So therefore our small rectangle, the dimensions would be 2 by 4 centimeters. So we'll figure out the area of the large rectangle first. So area of large rectangle is what I'll say here. So that is going to be area equals length times width, which is 12 by 6, which is 72 centimeters squared. Next, we have to figure out the area of the small rectangle. And the dimensions for that is 2 times 4. Okay, again, length times width, which is 4 times 2. That is equal to 8 centimeters squared. Okay, so there's the large, there's the small. So to get the area of the shaded area, we are going to subtract out that small rectangle from the large rectangle. So 72 minus 8, which is 64 centimeters squared. All right, so again, keep your work organized. Try to, as organized as possible, label what you are calculating and then what you're finally calculating as your area of the shaded region. All right, so for this example, you have to figure out the area of the rectangle, and we have to subtract out those two triangles. So let's organize our steps here. Let's figure out our area of our rectangle first. Area of that is length times width. Length is 10, and our width is 4 plus 4, which is 8. So 10 times 8, which is 80 meters squared. All right, there's our area of our rectangle. Next, let's call this triangle 1, and we'll call this triangle 2. So area of triangle 1, so 0.5 base times height. So triangle 1, 0.5, base is 5, height is 5. That gives me 12.5 meters squared. Okay, that's triangle 1. And let's do triangle 2 up here. Area of triangle 2. Again, 0.5 base times height. The base here is 5. The height for this one is 4. All right, 5 times 4. That gives me 10 meters squared. All right, so we have area of the rectangle, we have the area of the two triangles, so we have to subtract out those two triangles. All right, so area shaded is 80 meters squared. We're going to subtract out triangle 1, 12.5 meters squared, and we're going to subtract out the 10 meters squared. All right, so that gives me my total of 57.5 meters squared. Okay, that is the area of just this shaded portion here. All right, so for this figure, the whole figure is shaded. Two parts, we have half a circle and we have a square. All right, so let's do the square first. So area of the square, it's side squared, meaning side times side. So 8 times 8. Okay, that is 64 centimeters squared. That is the area of the square. Next, we have this half circle. So we'll figure out the area of the circle and then we'll divide it in half. So area of a circle is pi r squared. We have the diameter of the circle as 8 centimeters. So before we can start, we have to figure out our radius. So the radius of our circle is going to be 8 divided by 2, so 4 centimeters. So that means 3.14 times radius squared, so times 4 times 4. All right, putting that in your calculator, 50.24 centimeters squared. But remember, that is for the full circle. We have to have half the circle, so we're going to divide that by 2 to give us 25.12 centimeters squared. All right, so we have our square, we have our half circle. So now we can figure out area shaded is 64 plus 25.12, which gives me 89.12 centimeters squared. All right, so we're going to pause here for today.